Hey everybody, and welcome back to another weather sim forecast. And in today's forecast, we're going to be talking about a large storm that's going to be coming to the United States over the next few days. And this is going to bring a lot of impacts, as not only will the storm bring the potential for some strong, maybe even some long track EF2 tornadoes as we head throughout the next few days. And as we head throughout the next few days, this severe weather threat is going to continue to shift eastward into areas like the Midwest and possibly still continuing to bring some severe weather even across the Ohio and even the Tennessee River valleys by the time we get into Tuesday of next week. We will also go over some other things in today's forecast, so make sure to stay tuned till the end so that we guys know what to expect for the next 7 to 10 days. And before we get into today's forecast, one thing that I want to quickly point out is that I did just upload more emojis on this channel to where now we have a hurricane, a tornado warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, and also a supercell as well here on the members page. Plus, I even uploaded my own badges to where I'm not really using the default badges like what I was using before. I finally got my own badges uploaded on this channel, and this did take a long time to make since I had to figure out what exactly to use to create all of these. But one thing you guys can do is you guys can become a member on this channel, especially if you guys would like to use those in the comments and also the chat. And once again, it really does help support the channel out a lot since I did put a lot of work into these, so consider becoming a member on this channel and that would be much appreciated. Now let's get into today's forecast by first starting off by going over what's happening across the United States today. And you guys can see that we do have two enhanced threats for severe weather. We got one across areas of southwest Nebraska and as well as northeast Colorado, and then we got another one across northern Oklahoma and as well as southern parts there of Kansas. So we really got to keep an eye on today's threat very closely, as one of the biggest concerns today will be the potential for a couple long track, potentially maybe even a few strong tornadoes. We will need to keep an eye on that very closely, especially if you live in southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma, where we do even have a hatched risk, which means we could see some tornadoes being on the stronger side of things, which means EF2 tornadoes or greater will be possible. So make sure to have your tornado action plan in place just in case, if you do live in this yellow color with the black lines going through it. And even if you live in this brown color, we still got a chance of seeing a few tornadoes. Now chances may be lower, but we still will likely be seeing a few tornadoes even down there into areas like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, maybe even areas as far down south as areas like Fort Stockton, and maybe even as far north as areas like Sterling, Colorado. So we will need to once again watch the tornado threat very closely today, as I even comes with a threat for some damaging winds. And then I think the other big concern will be large hail, especially. I accidentally did the wrong hail threat, but this is today's hail threat. As you can see, we got two areas to watch for large to very large hail, one across areas of northeast Colorado and southwest Nebraska, and then once again we got that other area across northern Oklahoma and as well as southern Kansas, where 2-inch in diameter hail or greater does appear likely today. So make sure to protect your vehicles if you guys do live in those areas, as I do think large to very large hail will be a likely threat today, and we might even see some large hail even as far down south as Texas once again. So we really need you guys to be covering your vehicles, as a few storms today may produce up to softball size hail. Let's also talk about what we could be seeing even as we get into tomorrow real quick, because once we get into tomorrow, we still got the potential for some severe storms tomorrow, including a large hail, tornado threat, and even a damaging wind threat tomorrow. This actually includes a much larger area too, to where areas of the eastern plains and even areas of the Midwest will likely be under the gun for not only large to very large hail, but also tornadoes. We do have a 10% hatch risk for tornadoes, which means EF2 or greater tornadoes will be possible, and since it covers a large area, we might even see a few areas get hit by tornadoes by the time we get into tomorrow, and that also also comes with a threat for even some damaging winds. So we will keep an eye on that very closely by the time we get into tomorrow, as severe storms do appear likely. So we will keep an eye on that very closely, as I do think we will likely be seeing a pretty big severe storm outbreak once we get into tomorrow. And then for day 3, we continue to see that threat for severe storm shift off to the east, to where we do have an enhanced risk across northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, and also areas of central Tennessee. And once again, we even got that hatched risk, which means we may see a few areas get hit by, either strong tornadoes, large to very large hail, or even hurricane force winds, which we will keep an eye on very, very closely once we get into Tuesday as well. Let's talk about why we are seeing such a favorable environment for tornadoes by talking about the significant tornado parameters, because you guys can see that for right now, we are especially watching areas of the plains today that are currently seeing some pretty high significant tornado parameters, and those areas will just blow up. Just check that out. Blow up with areas of very high significant tornado parameters, and you guys can already tell where the dry front is by just looking at this. Look at that. The cutoff of the significant tornado parameters are crazy. Look at that. We're going to have that, once again, that long dry front rolling on through, and that is what's really going to punch a lot of this storm to bring in the potential for some strong tornadoes once again, especially once that continues to shift off to the east, and we will continue to see that threat for strong tornadoes even as we get into tomorrow. And then I think a lot of this might even continue once we get into day 3, which will be for Tuesday of this week. Now, something that I just saw that was very questionable for day 3, which once again will be for your Tuesday, is the significant tornado parameters, because if we look at what the Storm Prediction Center has right now. They only got that enhanced risk for northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and as well as southern Tennessee. But look at this. This shows significant tornado parameters across western Kentucky, heading up there into southern Indiana, and even areas of eastern Kentucky. And look at this. We're seeing some pretty high significant tornado parameters right across that area, getting into areas like Louisville. So we really got to keep an eye on the tornado threat very closely once we get into Tuesday, because even though the tornado threat mainly includes this area right here, I would not be surprised at all if that tornado threat did extend kind of like this to where it may include a much larger area, because once again, if you look, we're going to have some pretty good significant tornado parameters right in that area that I just circled, so we will need to keep an eye on that very closely, as it does appear possible that we may have that enhanced risk extend just a little farther to the north, because at the same time that we're going to have those significant tornado parameters in place, we're also going to have those storms ongoing, and if those storms can time it just right, they may get into that favorable environment to where damaging winds, large to very large hail, and even strong tornadoes will be possible. So we will keep an eye on that very closely, as it does appear likely that we could see that threat expand just a little farther to the north. If we talk about what we could see as we get into the future, you guys can see that as we take this forward, once again, we're going to have all that severe weather, not just ongoing in the plains, but just continuing eastward into areas of the Ohio Valley as well. And that threat for severe weather should die down by the time we get into the end of this week, before maybe even another big storm just continuously impacts the plains with just rounds of severe weather. Just look at that, nonstop energy amounts of 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram just coming up into the plains. And then I think our next widespread severe weather event probably won't be till the end of May, or maybe not even until the beginning of June. So once again, we will keep an eye on that very closely, as I do think it does appear possible that we may see another big severe weather outbreak at some point. But once again, it's still uncertain, since we are still heading very far out from the end of May. So we we will keep an eye on it very closely. But once again, there's still going to be a lot of questionable things, and once again, there's also still a lot of uncertainty, but we will keep an eye on that threat very closely. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Feel free to become a member by clicking the link down below in the description down below if you haven't found that yet. Make sure to also subscribe to the channel, as I did put a lot of work into making those, and that really does help out the channel out a lot. Make sure to also leave a like down below, and those also help out too. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday out there, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.